briefcase and cards, and you can't get nobody delivered. What's the purpose of having an elder's license, a minister's license, evangelist, missionary's license, and can't nobody count on you to get a prayer through? I was in a situation on the borderline of North Carolina and Virginia several years ago, early on in my ministry, and to summarize the story here, a mother in the service fell out. She ended up dying in the service. My wife was there. Sister Rochelle, missionary Rochelle Holmes was there. She died in the service. And the funny thing about this situation was that in my message, I preached the glory of the latter house shall be greater than the former. And I said, I want God to move in my life so that I will have the power to raise the dead, because he said in his word, he said that what I do, you shall do, and greater works than these shall ye do, because I go to my Father. And I said, God, I want that to happen to me. And in the service, I was sitting there, and the mother of the person that was over the service fell out in the pulpit. I'm thinking she in the spirit. But too much time went by, and they end up picking her up, put her in a chair. Long story short, she died right there in the service. And watch this. Her son, now she had 4 sons there. One presided over the service, 3 sons. One presided over the service. One was on the guitar. One testified, just got out of jail. But watch this. When she died in the service, her son that was on the guitar threw his guitar down and said, I've been lying. I've been playing the guitar in church all of my life, and I've never been saved. I've been acting like I'm saved. I had to stop praying for the mother to go pray for the son that was on the guitar, because he was about to lose it, and he started hollering, my mother took it from me. The death angel came for me. And you are a lot. And many of you are just like that son. You've been faking. You've been going through the motions, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. So I go down to the altar. The whole church is praying. I go down to the altar and I begin to lead him to Christ. After I led him to Christ, he along with all his siblings went and laid in the lap of his mother and just began to cry and pray. And I went because I had learned from my grandfather, who had prayed for those who were dead and they came back to life, and others. And so I went and I grabbed her by the feet, because I understood that death starts from the feet first. Your feet start getting cold. Then it started moving on up, and so I grabbed her by the feet. Feet was like she had been like she was dead for a long time. I grabbed the back of her calf, the older lady in her 70s. Calf was freezing. I didn't go no further, saints. But I started praying. And then while I was praying, I got back to the mic. I said, look, everybody, stop everything. Point your hand this way. And Rochelle Holmes, missionary Rochelle Holmes, came out of her seat. And she just stopped pointing at me, speaking in tongues. And I said, now, Lord, you're going to have to give her the interpretation, or give me the interpretation of the situation, because I know she's saying something, but I don't understand. She just kept pointing at me and speaking in tongues. And I had a robe on, and I had a cincher around my waist. And she just stopped pointing. And then she came out. She said, it's in your sash. The first thing I thought about was Elijah. And I ripped my sash off and I threw it on mother. And the mother jumped up speaking in tongues. 10 years ago, mother started speaking in tongues. Now you know what I did, because I'm a country preacher. I ran clean out the church and we started shouting on the grass. I ain't got nobody talking to me here. I said we were shouting on the grass. I believe, I don't want to keep living in the past talking about what Dad Mason did. God bless Dad Mason. We love Dad Mason. He's our father. He's our founder. But how many of you know that the Bible says in Joel that he gave the former rain moderately? I say he gave the former rain moderately. But there's about to be a massive outpour in this latter day, and we have to make our vessels honorable so that God can use. I dare to lift up your hands and say, Lord, use me. Now in just the next few seconds,